channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Desiree and I am a mom of 3 and the owner and maker behind The Handmade Mom, where I create mom and positivity focused items. Now in this week's video, I wanted to do kind of a continuation from last week's video, which was my unsuccessful launch again. I posted that video and I told you guys there I was honestly contemplating about not even posting it. I was going to do something completely different because that was not my first unsuccessful launch video. I do have another one on my channel and then I have that one, and in between those two videos I've done launches where I didn't document anything, but those also ended up being unsuccessful as well. So it's really big bummer every time it happens. It's a part of the process, it's a part of the journey, right? And not every launch is going to be successful, and that's okay, but it doesn't make it any less of a bummer when it happens. So I was finding myself getting to the point of like, okay, how do I keep going? Because it's like, why do I even keep doing this? Why do I even try? You know, sometimes we get to that point, and I think it's completely normal to get to that point sometimes where you're like, why? You just question why you do it. And so I really thought to myself like, okay, how do I keep going? What is my purpose to keep going? All business is hard, and it's not always easy to make that decision to continue forward with a small business. So I am going to be sharing with you guys 6 tips that I use for continuing on with my small business and how to keep going, especially when things are hard. So hopefully you guys will find some of these tips helpful and that you can implement them in your life and your small business. So many of you guys are small business owners yourselves, and so you know firsthand how hard it is to run a small business, from social media management to email marketing to running your pop-up shops to creating your products to shipping them out to product photography to marketing to all the things. The list goes on and on and on, right? All those things are encompassed in running your small business, and it's hard. It's hard to manage all those things, especially if you're solo. Now, many of you guys are also moms, and that has its own list of things that are difficult and hard. And I know, at least for me, that I went into both of these journeys individually. If you keep them separate, right? Both of these journeys, I went into them knowing that they were going to be hard and knowing that they were going to be difficult and knowing that it was going to test me in ways that I was never tested before. But there's some things that I just did not anticipate the level of difficulty or the level of hardness that was going to be coming my way when I entered each of these perspective journeys. Then when you put them together, it's just another new, hard, and difficult thing. None of these things are impossible. Obviously, we are doing them and we are rocking them. Like, we are doing our best, right? And that's perfect. That's exactly what we need to be doing. But that doesn't make it easy. It doesn't make it less hard. So these tips I have found to be really helpful to keep me going, keep me motivated in not only my small business, but other aspects of my life. So hopefully these will do the same for you. So the first tip that I want to share with you guys is to define what success means to you. Now, keep in mind that when you are creating this definition for yourself, it does not have to be directly related to a monetary value, right? It can be. And if that is what your definition of success is, then great. But it does not have to be directly tied to a monetary value. You can have success measured by getting more quality time with your family. You can have success measured by being more involved in your community, by doing more pop-up events, doing more creating every month. I don't know. There's so many things that you could measure your success by that is not related to a monetary value. I know that in small business, a lot of us will automatically think that, oh, we are successful if we make a lot of sales and make a lot of money. And if we don't make sales and we don't make money, then that automatically means that we are unsuccessful. That's not always the case. And I came to this realization kind of a little bit more recently, particularly after my last launch, and with how that turned out, I really came to the realization that this is not how my success is measured right now. Do I want the sales? Yes. Do I want to have income coming in regularly through that? Yes. But right now, that's not how I measure my success, and that's okay. So defining what your success means is going to be super duper important. Then it will help you with some of these next tips that I'm going to be sharing with you. I did want to come on and add that when it comes to defining your success, right, you can define it multiple times throughout your journey, and it can be different as you go along your journey. So at one point in life, maybe you are relating it to a monetary value, but then you get older, maybe you start a family and things like that, and now your definition of success is not necessarily monetarily related. It's more of related to getting more family time in, right? And that's okay if your definition of success changes over time. So every time that you are feeling, in this slump, or things are getting hard, or you just don't know about to keep going, it's good to redefine what your meaning of success is at that point in time in your life. If it's the same as the last time, great, that's totally fine. It doesn't have to change, but just know that it's okay if it does change. Tip number 2 is going to be to remember or define what your why is. Usually when you start a business or you're looking into starting a business, there's a lot of videos, there's a lot of blogs, there's a lot of people that are talking about know your why, have a reason why for starting, and all those things, right? And yes, that is so important, because having a why really helps drive you to keep you going. And so we're going to use that in the moments that are hard, or in the moments that we don't know if we want to keep going, or in the moments that we're just sitting on that struggle bus, right? So we're going to use that why to help keep us going. Now, similarly to the success, like how you measure success, it can change. Your reasonings why can change, and that's okay. If your reasonings why started out as for your kids because they were little and you wanted to be home with them and you wanted to see them go through all their things, right? And now they're older, now they're doing their own thing, and now you are ready to change, and your why be myself, be you, finding you again as an individual. That's okay too, right? Like, our whys can change throughout our journey. So defining what your why is, or remembering what your why is in these moments, will really help to keep you going and kind of just remind you of like, oh yeah, this is why I started in the first place. For me, it's my kids. Right now I'm still in the why of for my kids, and looking at them sometimes, especially when I've got 50 million small business things running through my head, and I just look at them and I see their little faces, and I'm so thankful that I get to be here with them and doing this small business. That moment right there just reminds me of what my why is, and it's for them. So that way I can be here and see those little faces and see these moments that they're going through and all of that. So remembering your why, or redefining your why if that's where you're at, is step number 2. Tip number 3 is to rely on your strong support system. Now, I know that sometimes we have either a really small support system, or it feels like we don't have any support system. But finding some kind of support somewhere, whether that's from a family member, and usually this is where most of us think of when we hear like support system, is automatically family. But it doesn't have to be family. You can find support systems in friends. You can find support systems in Facebook groups. Like if you're in a mom group, or in a small business group, or anything like that, there's support systems there. If you are in maybe a membership, or some kind of program that a coach is offering, that's a support system there. Here on YouTube, right? Like if you are interacting with the content creators that you're watching, such as like myself, and you are interacting in the comments and things like that, like I know for me, I try to comment to all the comments that I get, and be very interactive with you guys and share any knowledge or tips that I can there as well. So, I mean, think of me, and hopefully you can think of me as part of your support system, right? So finding support systems wherever you can get them, and they don't always have to be family. You can find those in other avenues as well. Really relying on your support system in the times that you need it, when the times that you're struggling and you're trying to figure out on keep going or not, is going to help you out tremendously, wherever that support system comes from. For me, in this time, it was my husband. And like I mentioned in the last video about the launch, I wasn't going to post that video. I was going to delete it. I was going to just do something different and just pretend that it never happened. But after much discussion and a lot of support and encouragement from him, I decided to post it, and I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I did that, because it showed you guys that it's not out of the norm for that to happen. It's okay, and you guys are not alone if you're doing that. And I've gotten so much support and so much love from you guys as well, which honestly, I think of you guys as part of my support system as well, because when I share those videos like that, you guys are there to encourage me and say, keep going, and you've got this, and things like that. So finding that support system and leaning into them to help keep you going is another tip that I have for you. Tip number 4 is gonna be a little bit more of like a practical tip that you can actually apply yourself, and that is going to be make small goals. So when things are hard, right, unless you just completely stop doing the business until you make a decision, the business is still going, the business is still running, and a lot of times you're still having to do the things you need to do for it, right? So it can be difficult to do that when you are in this state of struggle, or I don't know if I want to keep going type of thing. So making small goals will actually really help, because it gives you small wins, right? When you meet those goals and you get this sense of like, oh, I did that. You get this sense of accomplishment that you met a goal of some kind, and it helps to keep you going and keep you going and keep you going. Whereas if you were to just have big goals that take a little bit longer to get to, are still tangible, but take a little bit longer to get to, it's harder to get that feeling, and so it's harder to keep going. An example of this might be, I don't know, let's say you're wanting to redo your website, okay? And you're like, I have this whole vision, I want this website to be aesthetically pleasing, and I've got this whole idea, right? That's a big goal. Doing a website and redesigning a website is a lot of work and can be really daunting. So you break it down into smaller tasks. You break it down into the smallest little bit that you can, right? So if you're like, okay, I need to find a picture for my About Me section, whatever. I'm just kind of trying to come up with something off the top of my head, but I need to find a picture for my About Me. I need to write a paragraph for my About Me. I need to take my product photos. I need to update my email. I need to update my policies or whatever, right? Like, but breaking them down into all those teeny tiny little ones, right? I could say I need to redo my whole homepage. And that could be a small enough goal for you, but sometimes we need to break it down even smaller to literally find a picture for my About Me, write my About Me paragraph. Like, those are two separate. And creating these really small goals allows you to hit those wins and hit those goals a lot faster. And so then you have this feeling of like accomplishment quicker and more frequently. So you find a picture, oh, awesome, cool, that's done. You could check that off of your list. Then you quickly, you type out your About Me little blurb, and then you're, oh, cool, that one's done. You check it off of your list. And then you update your email really quickly because it takes like 2 seconds, right? And then done, boom, you've got oh, that's another check on my list. And now all of a sudden you've got 3 checks, and you feel so accomplished, and you feel like you can keep going, and you feel like you're ready to, oh, let me just do this one more so I can get another check. Let me just do this another one so I can get another check. That doesn't always work for everybody, but for me it does. Like, I am a sucker for that. I will make my list as small as I need to make it in order to get those small little wins that consistently happen for me. So making small goals can really help keep you going and keep you motivated in times when you really don't know if you want to keep going, or you really aren't feeling too motivated. Tip number 5 is to only compare yourself to yourself. Now, I know that sounds kind of weird. You're like, what? Like, we shouldn't be comparing ourselves. Like, what are you talking about? But if you only compare, like, okay, let me back up. Comparing ourselves is really like easy to do. It's just something that a lot of us tend to just do automatically. It just kind of happens, right? Not comparing ourselves is so much harder. So I don't want to tell you to not compare yourself, but I'm going to tell you to compare yourself only to yourself. So what I mean by that is look back, like when you're in these moments, right? Look back on when you started and compare where you are now to where you were then, and see where have you come. And it doesn't matter how long the process has been so far for you, how long this journey has been for you. If it was a week, right? Look back at where were you last week? Look at the things that you got done and accomplished this week. Even if it was one thing, that's still one thing that's been done that wasn't done before. Look back if you are a year in, right? Look back at when you first started. I always look back on the first time that I did a craft show and a craft market. Man, it was rough. I will see if I can find the picture. Again, I know I have it in another video. I don't remember which one it is, but I will see if I can find the picture and post it for you guys here. But this is the very, very first market that I ever did. My setup is awful. I don't know what I was thinking with the black tablecloth, and just like I had a whole hodgepodge of stuff. There was no aesthetic, there was no vibe going on. It was nothing like that. So then I look at it compared to, you know, a market that I did maybe I think a few months later, which I'll post that here if I can find it. And you can already see there's a difference there, right? And that's just a few months. And then I compare this to my most recent market, which is here, and drastically different. Like I have come leaps and bounds over my booth setup. And that came with time, right? In the moment, I was like, oh, this isn't working. I don't like this. I don't know what to do. I'm trying to figure out, you know, things to change. And it took a long time. And it's still a work in progress. But looking back and comparing myself to where I was before shows me that I have made progress, shows me that I have made steps to go forward, because I wouldn't be going forward if I was still looking like this. So keep that in mind. Is you can compare yourself to yourself though. Don't compare yourself to these other people that you see on social media. Don't compare yourself to the other people you see here on YouTube and things like that. Compare yourself to yourself. You will be surprised at how far you have come and actually what kind of progress you have actually made. So that is my next tip, and I hope that one is really, really helpful, because I know that that one really helps me quite a bit, especially my booth setup. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Compare yourself to yourself. Final tip, which is tip number 6, and that is going to be step away and take a breath. Stepping away honestly can really help make a huge difference and get you to keep going a little bit longer than maybe you would have had you just pushed through. So a lot of times we will push ourselves. I know I'm this way. I will go and go and go and go and go until I am literally at my breaking point, and then I go some more. Well, that's not good for me, and that's not good for you either. So having to step away and take a break and take a breather is so helpful. And that can come in many different forms, right? Social media, if you're constantly posting, you can take a break from posting. You're not going to lose followers. You're not going to lose your aesthetic of your account or anything like that. Like, it's still going to be there for you. You're just pausing it, stepping away, and then you'll be back. If you are constantly cranking out new product, if you are constantly making things, right? Every single night you're making something. Maybe you take a night or two off where you don't go in your workspace, wherever that is for you, and you don't make something. You just maybe sit on the couch and watch TV. Maybe you make something, but something that you're not selling. Something that maybe you don't sell, but you enjoy making anyways. Like, that is still stepping away and taking a break and taking a breath. You could also see it in the form of markets. If you're somebody that goes to pop-up markets and you do them every single weekend, maybe take a weekend off. Maybe don't go to a pop-up market for one weekend and get a breather, recoup, reset your body, and then you can keep going, right? This particular tip has been so helpful, not only for my small business, but tremendously helpful for motherhood. Like, I cannot even tell you how I would have survived motherhood so far up to this point without that. I have not always been the best at it, especially with my oldest. I had a hard time with that during my postpartum period of stepping away and taking breath when I needed to in the moments that were really, really difficult. But now with the twins, I have definitely learned to do that a lot more because there's a lot more difficult moments. I will say there's a lot more difficult moments that I have to like recoup, regather myself, step away, and then go back in and I'm ready to handle. So that tip in particular has been so helpful for motherhood and of course my small business. But that is my sixth tip, is to step away and take a breath. Alrighty, y'all, so that is gonna be all the tips that I have for you guys. I hope that you found value in me sharing these with you. Let me know down in the comments which tip that you found the most valuable. I so enjoy reading all of your comments, and I love commenting back to you guys. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. It truly helps out me and my channel, and I greatly appreciate it. And lastly, if you have not already subscribed, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications so that way anytime I upload any videos in the future, you will be notified that I have done so. Alright guys, thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!